Good evening, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Van Nest, and I'm the moderator for this forum sponsored by the League of Women Voters of the St. Petersburg area. The League of Women Voters was founded 106 years ago, just before women gained the right to vote in 1920. We are a nonpartisan public policy organization that has never endorsed a political party or candidate. We encourage informed and active participation in government and work to increase understanding of public policy issues through education and advocacy. And we have welcomed men as League members since 1974. Tonight's forum features the candidates for the Indian Shores Town Council. As a courtesy to others, please silence all electronic devices. This forum is being recorded and will be posted on the League's website. The recording may not be edited or used for campaign purposes. No other recording of this forum is permitted. If you have not yet submitted a question card, please raise your hand and a League volunteer will collect it. We will address as many questions as time permits. And the 2026 municipal election will be held on March 10th. Please note, this is a forum, not a debate. The purpose of this forum is to provide candidates with an opportunity to present their views on the issues of concern to the Indian Shores community. Interruptions and personal attacks are not permitted. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. I will then pose the same questions to each candidate. Candidates will have 2 minutes to respond to each question. The timekeeper will provide a 1-minute warning, a 30-second warning, and a signal when time has expired. After the question and answer portion, each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. The views expressed by the candidates this evening are their own and do not represent those of the League of Women Voters. The candidates will now make their opening statements, and we're starting with candidate Howard.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Michael Howard, and I go by Mike. It's an honor to be here tonight, not only as a candidate, but somebody who believes very deeply in this community and wants to see the future of the community. I'm currently serving as a town council member on the town council, and my focus is protecting public safety, preserving quality of life, and making sure that Indian Shores continues to be run by the people who live in Indian Shores. My background is in law enforcement and public service. I served with the Tampa Police Department for 24 years and went on to serve with the U.S. Department of State and the Foreign Service and Bureau of Diplomatic Security. I served from everywhere from Africa to the Middle East to Bangkok to Washington, D.C. and out of our Miami office. In addition to that, I also served 7 years as a elected public pension trustee for the city of Tampa with the Fire and Police Pension Fund. I am my most proud service as being a U.S. Army veteran. Over the past 2 years, I've proven results and proven leadership for the town of Indian Shores. I've represented our interests in Tallahassee. I've spearheaded the modernization of the Indian Shores Police Pension, which enhanced benefits for the members at no cost to the taxpayers. I improved communications during the last beach renourishment program between the residents and the county's beach renourishment team by establishing tables downstairs. When I take on a project, I don't just check the box for the project. I look for better ways to make it better for the residents. I am committed to listening, to working hard, and to delivering practical solutions. Leadership deserves your leadership involves listening, doing, and following up, and I believe in all of those. Thank you.
Candidate Bauer.
Good evening. I'm Ellen Bauer. I live in Indian Shores. I've been a resident of Indian Shores since 2003. I am the vice mayor here now and have been for the last 3 years. I actually owned upstate New York. I owned a furniture store business. I ran it for 27 years. It was a corporation. I also ran and owned a florist before that, so I can deal with people very well. I have been on this board and been on the board for the Golden Shores as the vice president of Golden Shores for the last 12 years. So I do know about what's going on with buildings, with properties, and with management. Last year, or 2 years ago, during the hurricane, we were all out here taking care of things, taking care of getting it done, getting the doors open on the building here, and putting up tables and handing out flyers for FEMA and helping people get their properties under order. I've worked hard for the refurbishment of the beaches, the renourishment of the beaches, and just recently had somebody ask about where their plantings were, but I had to tell them that they didn't sign up for the plantings, but we'll get more plants for them to deal with. So if they come for me with a question, or I'll find an answer for them and I'll help them in any way possible. I'm here for the library, for the police department, and for Indian Shores. Thank you.
And candidate Petruccelli.
Good evening. I'm glad to see all of you here. A trifle chilly out there, you still came out, which speaks a lot. One of the bases that I work with is the two-letter word, we. You're not going to hear me say, I did this, I did that, I was involved in this bubblegum incident. Briefly, I have resided in Indian Shores for 30+ years. During those 30+ years here in Indian Shores, I've been involved as a licensed real estate broker, as a licensed insurance agent, and as an instructor, first for the Florida School of Insurance and presently for the Tampa Bay School of Insurance. My background helps because I can do the three-letter word easy, and that is why. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? And are we being a good steward of y'all's money? Now, one of the issues that I'm very big on right now is the rollback on the property taxes. But going along with that, I'd like to see the city work diligently on the insurance. Time's running out on me. Look forward to your support. Mike Petruccelli.
Okay, we'll begin the questions with candidate Bauer. What steps should the town take to improve pedestrian safety in Indian Shores?
Who's that go to?
Candidate Bauer.
Well, I think that possibly we should put better linings on the road. The delineators on the road, I think, are a great feature, because walking down the road, when those cars hit those delineators, they know to pull over. I do not think that putting curbs on the street at all is, I speak to a lot of bikers, people that are biking through here and everything, and they are very adamant about if they're riding a bike and they hit the curb, they're going to be back into the road in front of the car. The way it is now, people can actually get out of the way of that. I'm really concerned about the cars that pull on your right-hand side when you're trying to turn. I think that needs to be addressed a little bit better, but I think the pedestrians on the sidewalks being on the inside of the bike route is a good idea.
And candidate Petruccelli, same question.
I'm selfish. I'm very protective. I have grandchildren. I have great-grandchildren. They run around. Their parents try to hold their hands, and they're out in Gulf Boulevard going different places, and I'm scared to death we're going to have a child run over. Gulf Boulevard is narrow. try to get two vehicles passing each other. I want sidewalks. I want the kids up off the road, and I'll work diligently with both local and state for sidewalks. Anything else is splitting the difference. And while we're on that, the lighting on Gulf Boulevard was diminished, and the council spent $50,000+ for diminished turtle lights.
And candidate Howard.
That's been a hot topic since before I was on council. And unfortunately, this is the Narrows. And with the real estate that we were blessed with is very, very limited, as my colleague had just mentioned. I personally looked into this myself and actually pulled the traffic wheel on Gulf Boulevard and got the measurements. At the widest part where everybody would love to see the sidewalks on both sides and the crosser and the 4 lanes, 2 each way, there's 93 feet and 6 inches between this edge of the sidewalk to the other edge of the sidewalk. If you go up to Walsingham Boulevard in Indian Rocks, where you have 1 northbound lane, 1 southbound lane, but you have 2 sidewalks, they happen to have 55 feet. And when you come down to the middle of the Narrows, right here, right up at about 198th Boulevard, they have 55 feet. And that's from the edge of the sand to the edge of the sand, with a 10-foot traffic lane and a center line. The concern, it'd be look great to have sidewalks, if we could do it, if we could put them into that narrow space. Cars would bump, when cars, in a 10-foot traffic lane, my fear would be cars bumping that curb and not having any room to overcorrect. They bump the curb and they only have inches to recorrect and go head on into the other car. But again, if we could go through condemnation, if we could get waivers from property owners who said, yeah, I'll give up 10 feet of my front yard for sidewalks for the town, and get the state to agree. The state hasn't started they're approved to do sidewalks up to Tiki Gardens, and they're not yet even thinking of moving on that in 2027, 2029 sometime. So moving it to the furthest north limits would be pretty difficult at this point. Thank you.
Okay, candidate Petruccelli, we're starting with you. If pending state legislation results in reduced property tax revenue for Indian Shores, how would you recommend the city address the potential budget impact?
We, the people, authorize representatives to make decisions that deal with the delivery of services. Now, to me, you have a pecking order. The services that are critical to me are fire and police, maintenance, infrastructure. It's interesting, it's like a shell game. The politicians in Tallahassee hold up one hand when they're doing another. They're talking about a percentage reduction in property taxes. At the same time, they're allowing insurance companies multiple percentages in property and casualty insurance. You give me a $200 property discount and raise my auto rates by $500, you're not representing me. I challenge anyone in this room to tell me right now who is the head of the Pinellas County Legislative Group that they've contacted on this issue. I believe we need to really look at why they're talking property tax reduction when they get double-digit insurance increases.
Candidate Howard?
That's a topic that I've been doing a lot of work on myself. I've traveled to Tallahassee to represent the interests of the town. And to answer that question, the legislators' mind, they think they have addressed some of the insurances issues. They got a reduction in some of the rates. I got a $40 change, but in other words, the reductions were pretty minimal compared to some of the reductions we may face if this goes through. If House Bill 201 goes through with total elimination of property taxes, it has the potential impact of $530,000 on this particular town right now. And the lowest impacted would be the Save Our Home, and we still could have a $346,000 deduction for MORTAC revenue. That's a 17.15% reduction or an 11.19. And people say that legislators can't. What are they thinking of? And to address my colleague's statement, one of the things they baked into those legislative bills is you cannot reduce, local entities, cities, towns, and villages cannot reduce public safety. So if somebody was to say, well, my response would be to cut back the police or fire, the law says you can't, but we're still gonna take the money. And there was one legislator in Tallahassee quoted saying, let them figure it out. And that was a quote from Tallahassee, from the Florida League of Cities. And it's obvious the legislators, you know, it's easy to make grand statements from 265 miles away. But when you have 120 legislators and 24 of them served at the local level, and you have representatives, and we have 40 senators and only 8 have served at the local level. They don't understand the local level. Local voices should make local choices.
Candidate Bauer?
Okay, so the local budget that we have here would probably be decimated because of the taxes that we would be having to pay. And everybody's really excited about not having to pay their taxes. But in reality, what would happen is that the state has said that they will reimburse us. They will take care of it. They have extra money this year, so they will give us money to run our town. Now, the money that they would give us maybe this year would be okay because they have extra money. Next year, they may not have extra money, and the year after, they may not have extra money. So how would we be able to fund our town here? Funding the town not only is just the people that work in the town, it is the police department, the fire department has their own budget basically, but it also is the keeping of the buildings that are here, it's the roads, it is whatever we do for the people of the town, and we are a small town. So if we do not have any money and the state decides they're not gonna give us the money or they're going to combine it, we may not be a town at all. If you figure out that they think there's more people here as an administrator or whatever, and Indian Rocks has administrative, and Reddington has administrative, so the state may just say that they are not going to fund all of the towns, they'll combine us to something else. We don't want to be run by the state, we really want to have our own town.
Okay, for the next question, we'll start with candidate Howard. Beach communities have faced challenges in completing full beach replenishment projects. What actions should the town take to support beach preservation, public cleanliness, protection of endangered species, and storm resilience? And would you include to plant sea oats to maintain the dunes?
Wow, that's a good question. I'll wrap into one. Beach renourishment decision. Communication, I found the lack of communication was the big thing. We had the biggest concern with the beach renourishment project of this year compared to the previous years was the signing of the access waivers by the residents. We had over 100 people who didn't want to sign the waivers, period. But I went to several of the hearings up and down Barrier Islands, and only saw 1 or 2 residents from this town at any of those hearings, only because they didn't have them in the center of the Barrier Islands. They went down to the south end and the north end, and we sponsored a table downstairs to open communications between the county beach renourishment team and our local residents, and broadcasted it. And we staffed it for 3 days or 4 days the first time, and then we did it again 2 months later and did the same thing. And it brought the residents, gave them an opportunity to come in here and, see exactly what the county had planned for the beach renourishment. And we've had quite a lot of people call down and say, can I get it fixed now? And it was too late, they would offer that. But in other words, people were satisfied with the way the project was done this last time from most of our feedback. As far as the sea oats, my understanding is that the sea oats, once they root, will help anchor the sand. Right now the sand's blowing like crazy, and the sad thing is they tried it in 2024 with this, unfortunately we got hit with the storm less than 30 days after they put the sea oats in, so there's absolutely no anchor time. If you're gonna put the dunes in, and the dunes are there, they're small, they're not the 8-foot ones that they had done previously. They're little rises. I believe that the sea oats, if all the science is correct, once they are rooted, should help keep and preserve the dunes and create the barrier for the sand to collect up alongside of it. And I think, and with regards to cleaning it, it's just, it would be up to the town.
Okay, candidate Bauer?
With regards to the beach renourishment, we had a very difficult time trying to get people to sign up for the beach renourishment. What happened in the beginning, before the hurricane, was that people didn't want it, some people wanted it, and they wouldn't go with the Army Corps of Engineers because they wanted an in perpetuity signing, and people did not want to sign away forever that other people could come on their property, even though they have gas lines and everything and they can go on then, but they didn't want that. So then the county came in and they put dunes in, but those guys really just dumped sand, and it was 10 feet high. So now the people really don't want that either. And then the hurricane came and put all the sand in the middle of the road. Okay, so now we're gonna tell them we're gonna renourish the beach again, and they think that they're gonna get 10-foot dunes. Well, they didn't. They got shorter dunes. We got more people. We convinced them that the dunes would be better, it would be shorter. So we got that done, and they also had paperwork to sign up at that time for the beach renourishment for the seagrass, right, sea oats, and some people did not do that. So now they've called in and said they really want them in now, but it's too late. So we now have people calling them, and I called them and told them where they could purchase them, or that we would see where we could get them, or maybe the county would have extra and give them to them. So these people do now really want their beaches to be better now that they see that it can, and let's hope this whole renourishment stays for a while, at least till the grasses take hold.
Candidate Petruccelli?
Let me see if I understand. You want me to sign a form that allows individuals to walk on my property, but you won't limit my liability. Let me see if I understand. You want the right for perpetuity to my property, but you won't compensate me. Such a deal. For years before the Corps of Engineers, small access to the property so we could renourish the beach. Someone said, no, let's get them to sign over their rights, not compensate them, let them be exposed to liability. Oh, they didn't sign? Well, they can't have beach renourishment. How about if I cut my tax payment to the IRS by that same percentage? Would that work? What we need to do is lobby politically to get the politicians, to get the Corps of Engineers to readjust to a brief period of time to come onto the property to add the sand, and we'll get renourishment like we did for the past 20 years. Sometimes I wonder who thought this up. So, yes, I'm for beach renourishment. Yes, I'm for common ground. And somewhere in between, there should be the ability to allow the Corps of Engineers to put sand on the beach, and we go back to being happy again. But if you're going to come to me and tell me, no, we want your property forever, we're not gonna pay you, and if somebody bounces on the ground, you're gonna be liable. Gee, I can't make that deal. I'm sorry for being so formal.
Candidate Bauer, we'll start with you. How would the town benefit from your attendance at the Florida League of Cities conferences?
Well, I would be a person that would be like a voice for the town, so I would go to the Florida League of City conferences and find out all the information that I could for the town and bring back what my findings are so the town can help and deal with what the people are going on.
Candidate Petruccelli?
During the 10 years that I was a council person with Indian Shores, I represented the council at the Florida League of Cities. During that period of time, I had continuing education with the Ethics Committee, municipal leadership, advanced Indian Shores studies, and on 2 or 3 occasions was involved with legislative committees on the state level. Now, we have a representative on the council that can be not only the representative, but on different committees. I was on those different committees for 10 years. Those committees are the steering arm that the Florida League of Cities then influences the legislatures with. We've got to get back to old-time religion and start acting for our own benefits here locally. If you say to the people on the county level and on the state level, when did you get a call from Indian Shores representatives? What do you think they say? We need to get back to basics. I would be glad to do those things again.
Candidate Howard, same question.
The benefits of attending the Florida League of Cities conferences were tremendous for me. I got the initial education early on in the early training as candidate Petruccelli was saying. I had the opportunity to jump on those committees. As of recently as of last week, I was one of 14 people who represented the Barrier Islands to hit the legislators' offices. So we split into different groups, and in groups of 6, we hit Representative Cheney's office, we hit Representative Jack's office, Senator DeSigley's office, and Senator Hooper's office, and we expressed the concerns of the town collectively. And prior to that, and the first committee I was on was the Municipal Operations Committee, which formed in August of 24, and unfortunately, we got hit with Hurricane Helena, and my tenure on that committee was cut a little short because of local issues here. But again, as recently as last week, we had the representation up there because their motto is, and my motto is, the local voices should be making the local choices, not people 365 miles away who don't live with the voters and they don't suffer the consequences of their votes. Thank you.
Mr. Petruccelli, if elected, how would you communicate with residents and ensure their concerns are reflected in town council decisions?
During the past 10 years when I was on council, we had a Facebook, we had a open type of email where individuals can communicate with me directly or through the Facebook, and we would look forward to opening those lines of communications again. Now, I do applaud the weekly note that is sent from the city, because that gives people a chance to glance at what's taking place. I think that that should be continued and expanded, and there should be a way to reply to the weekly notice that goes out from the city, so we can have dialogue, so we can hear what people think and say. I think it's important to have open communications and honest communications. If you're going to represent the people in this town, then you should be able to ask the question, 3-letter word, why are we doing this? Why are we spending this money? Is this where we'll get the best bang for our buck? Now, if you want to influence those people in Tallahassee, then you check with the voter registration and you get their contribution list, and you call the politician and you say, when you're back in town with Danny Jones or Paul Smith, let's have lunch. He might tell me no, but he ain't gonna tell his contributor no to a free lunch.
Candidate Howard.
Could you repeat the question?
If elected, how would you communicate with residents and ensure that their concerns are reflected in town council decisions?
I believe, as has been stated, the online media is an open forum. I have my own I have my online media access now currently running, as do a lot of people, and we do have the weekly message that goes out from the town for the people to read. I personally try to contribute to that as frequently as possible, at least to give my opinion. And I generally have at least once a month, sometimes twice a month, and at least put something in there to show people that, you know, there are things going on. We certainly encourage people to come to our meetings, and I'm a firm believer in opening the lines of communication between the town and its residents, because without that communication, it's one way. It'll certainly be a one-way street, and it'll be a short tenure for anybody. And regarding the social media impact is, it's tremendous. And I didn't see the town Facebook page, but I'll be looking. Thank you.
Candidate Bauer.
Okay, I belong to a couple things in the town, okay? Clubs in the town. I belong to Indian Shores Property Owners, and I know a lot of people in the town. So when I'm out and about in the town and they tell me something that they want done, I actually can come back here, contact people from Pinellas County or whatever, and get some of the items taken care of. I also have business cards with my phone number on it and an email address, and I do get a lot of emails from people asking about different things, including like the COs and where his COs were. But, you know, so I can call back to the people and I can let them know what I've looked up for them and what I have done for them. Right now we're trying to get rid of rats in the Tiki Gardens, which is a county place. So we've been online with Tiki Gardens, we've been online with the county trying to get that done. So there's many ways to take care of it, but a lot of the stuff it's just basic general conversation of people saying that they're not happy with something, and then I'll come back and I'll take care of that problem and find out what direction we can go to alleviate whatever the problem is.
Candidate Howard, looking ahead, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing Indian Shores over the next 5 years, and what role should the town play in addressing it?
I would say the biggest challenge that we're facing in the next 5 years, two biggest challenges. One was certainly the impact of what's happening with our storms and our storm surges, and with regards to our recent event with Hurricane Helena hitting the Barrier Island. That was a real big wake-up punch, and we have learned a lot. We did a lot. This town actually was one of the first to respond on the Barrier Islands to get people back and up and running as quickly as possible with permitting and issuing permits pretty quick. A lot of people didn't get them, and you see a few tear downs here, but we started moving quickly, and the town reacted rapidly because we had our own in-house public service, the police department, the public works department, and the communications between council and the executive office and the mayor's office. There was instant communication to let people know. And I would say the second largest issue against the town right now in the next 5 years would be the state legislature, because there's been a constant attack on home rule. The last 3 legislative sessions have had one bill after another that has been trying to eat away at home rule. So it's hard, with 2 minutes, it's hard to, I could spend an hour on each one of those two, but those are the two. Between what we have offshore and what we have in Tallahassee would be the biggest concerns I'd have in the next 5 years. Thank you.
Candidate Bauer.
With the rising awareness of the historical problems that have happened here in Indian Shores, we need to focus on conservation and recent sustainability of the marine life that we have around here, including the intercoastal way, as opposed to also the refurbishing on the beaches. We also need to be able to focus on keeping the town people as a town. We need to focus on the buildings in the town. We need to focus on keeping them up to date and refurbished, and keep the historical look of the town also. So I think that we have to really focus on what's going on in the town, and the people of the town have to know what's going on, and we have to be able to just work with the town and towards the town in order to keep that going. During the hurricanes, we were the quickest town to open our doors, to allow people to come in, to get their building permits. We held paperwork for FEMA, which some of the people don't have all of their FEMA stuff done yet, but I do have somebody that will help with that. I have recently got a person that will help with that. But it's one of those, we need to keep working towards the town, and the people, I do have to say, the people of the town and everybody that's involved in this town are extremely helpful in trying to get things done. So when we do open the doors, we actually can give them paperwork, they can come back, they can ask questions, and we can help each other get through this whole thing.
Candidate Petruccelli.
One of the interesting things I read was, do you know that in the final hours of the Titanic, they had to be chairs set up for the music the next morning? Instead of loading lifeboats, they were setting up chairs. I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I'm smart enough to know you ask the intelligent engineers, hydroelectric people and everything, and here's what they told me. The 2 real priorities are coastal erosion and spiral insurance and infrastructure hardening, okay? We are a barrier island. We have an intercoastal on one side, we have a beach on the other. We need to talk in terms of how do we harden our properties? How do we improve drainage? How do we handle the structure needed for the next hurricane? We talk about we're going to do this and we're going to do that. All bets are off when the hurricane hits. How do we respond to it? Has anybody asked how many open building permits do we have still open today? Has anybody asked the condominium boards how many of them haven't finished their report? How many of them haven't funded their SEERs and their different reserves? We need to work in reality. If you're kind enough to support me, I will ask the questions and wait for the answers, especially when it deals with your property and your money. I'll be hearing that in my sleep.
Okay. Candidate Bauer, this is the last question. What are your plans to continue town beautification and plantings, especially by tiki gardens?
Yesterday, when I was coming into the town here, I saw the landscaper outside and immediately picked up my phone and punched a picture out and said, this is what we want. We want tropical. We want nice looking. We want this. I know that Tiki Gardens is lacking right now, and right now I'm actually trying to get them to trim the palm trees in Tiki Gardens. That's the major thing, because that's where the rats are in their nests. So I'm working on that. His name is Paul Cozy. I'm literally working on that at the moment. But they do have to take care of the front part of Tiki Gardens. And I think cutting the bushes down was a good idea, because now we can see our beautiful statue out there. So I think when they say that they're gonna come and start working, I will definitely be over there showing them what they need to do, because we need to make it more tropical. We can't just have palm trees. Those are poles in the ground with greens on the top. You want to be able to see what you're seeing. You want it to be tropical. So that's what I'm going to help.
Candidate Petruccelli.
We are discussing a parking lot for out-of-town people to park their vehicles to go onto our beach. What comes to my mind is efficiency, is cleanliness, is the ability for the people, citizens, to park their motor vehicles there, pay the parking revenue, which we can spend. Palm trees are nice, bushes are nice, and that'll be a pretty greenery for the out-of-town people to park their car, to walk across the road and go to our beach. So efficiency, cleanliness is what I support. And yes, we can have shrubbery.
Candidate Howard.
With the beautification, I personally don't have a green thumb, so I have to rely on the experts myself. My first question I would want to do is ask would be, if we're going to have any plantings, what is the most salt resilient? Because we might not have a 4-foot storm surge or 5-foot storm surge for a long time, but I certainly believe we might see Gulf Boulevard get a little water on it from time to time in the next few years. And it'll be salt water. And so my first question would be to reach out to counties like Monroe County and the Florida Keys. What do? They certainly experience saltwater intrusion a lot, and we could learn a lot from others. It was great, some of the nice plantings that were put along the median down at 191st looked beautiful for a while until the first flood hit them. And unfortunately, and the poppy grass they put along looked nice when it was all cut down, and then now it's pretty brown because it wasn't salt resilient. So, and the palm trees, and of course, like has been stated, Tiki Gardens, it's a parking lot owned by the county, and it'd be nice if we got all that revenue, but we split that with the county, so, we can certainly have our input into what they want to do with Tiki Gardens, but I'm sure the county's going to have just as much a say. And then maybe soon a third tenant coming involved in that, so thank you.
All right, we're going to now move to closing statements, and we're starting with candidate Petruccelli.
Thank you for coming. It shows a lot of character with this cold weather that you decided to do something civil. I appreciate you coming out. I can only tell you a few things that I'm committed to. And one of them is stewardship of the trust and money that if you vote for me, that I'll do. The second thing is, I will ask why we're doing this, why we're doing that, how does it benefit the citizens in Indian Shores. I live here, my children come to visit, my grandchildren come to visit. I want this place to be safe, clean, and open. And those are the things I'll work for. I get along with a lot of the people on the state level because they know I don't play games, that if I tell them something, I have the backing of people that will follow up on what I'm asking for. I'm asking tonight, when it's time, please check Mike Petruccelli, so that I can represent you again. Look forward to the next 10 years as your representative.
Candidate Howard.
Yes, again, thank you all for coming out. It's like has been stated, we couldn't have picked a colder night for this forum. As we wrap up tonight, I want to return to what's guided me from the very beginning. I'm proud to have been a U.S. Army veteran, member of the Tampa Police Department and the Foreign Service. Those experiences have taught me the value of duty, accountability, and service before self. And I've practiced those three issues in my time as a council member in the Indian Shores Town Council. I believe leadership is showing up, listening, and then following through. I'm proud of what we've accomplished together, and I would be honored to continue this service. Over the past 2 years, I have done my best to at least change something and bring something forward, bringing something hard, and I've worked hard to deliver results. With your support, I'll continue to serve in that manner, and I would appreciate your vote and your support. Thank you.
And Candidate Bauer.
I'm very glad that you have come out here tonight to listen to us. I just want to say that I have worked in Indian Shores for the last 3 years. I have been on boards for the Indian Shores before that time. And I want to say that this is the best closeness community, small town that we have. We are situated in an unbelievable spot between two highly large tourist communities. We are not a tourist community. We have tourists here, but we are not like Clearwater or St. Pete Beach or any of them. And I think that's why we chose to live here. So if I am elected, I am still going to keep this place as tropical. And most of those plants I'm talking about did survive. They are things that I know survived. We had them, they're planted at our condominium, so they do survive. Anything that was planted that stays, we can use again. So I am very glad to be on here. I am very happy to help the people of the community, and I get very excited when I have a problem and we can finish it and make it offer better. So I would like your vote to be on the board again. Thank you.
And thank you to all our candidates for participating this evening and for your commitment to public service. And a few reminders to voters. Please contact the Pinellas County Supervisor of Elections to ensure that your mailing address is correct and current if you vote by mail. Vote by mail ballots are not forwardable. Florida law also now requires voters to request a vote by mail ballot after every general election. So every 2 years, you have to ask for that vote by mail ballot again, if that's how you vote. And the vote by mail ballots must be received by the Supervisor of Elections no later than 7 p.m. on election day. Doesn't matter when it was postmarked, it's got to be received by the end of elections on election day. And nonpartisan information about the election, the candidates, and their responses to additional questions are all available at the voter guide at vote411.org. Thank you to all the league volunteers who assisted with this forum, to your amazing town staff. I can't say enough about Freddie and Ashley. They are above and beyond. And for all of you who attended, and your wonderful questions, thank you